Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be about a part that BMW never ever tell you about, and this serviceable part needs to be changed on your BMW. Now there is a lot of you running around with problems on your cars, especially if you're having misfires, fueling issues, car cutting out. And another thing you'll notice is when you go to fill your car up to the brim, which is full tank, you'll notice your car isn't cranking or it's taking a long time to turn over. Now, when it takes a long time to turn over and then it finally kicks in, this part is causing that issue. Now, if this part isn't changed on your car, it can destroy your engine and also your fuel tank. So I'm gonna go out to the car and I'm gonna show you the part I'm actually going on about. And this part isn't very well known, but it's fitted to every BMW E60 and just people ain't aware of it. This is being replaced on my BMW M5, but this applies to all BMW E60s and E90s. This crappy part that BMW decided to put on the cars was all for emissions, and it's absolutely useless, and they deserve to be shot for putting this part there just to help the emissions and regulations. It's absolute crap, and it's caused my car nothing but problems, having fuel pressure adaptation light keep coming on, having a bunch of error codes coming on, and then I finally found the cause after proper diagnosis using ISTA. So I'm gonna take you out to the car, I'm gonna show you the part, and we're gonna go and replace it. So let's get onto this video.
But goddamn, get it done, will ya? Woo. When the blow up now, everybody's so unusual with it. Shit. But said times in his rhymes, cause his memories. We running through New York, so you.
So if you see here guys, we're at the rear wheel, which is my driver's side, which will be in the US, your passenger side, and we need to be located where the fuel cap is. And what we're going to be doing is removing this whole wheel arch liner to gain access to the part. As you'll see, I've got the car jacked up. We're going to remove the wheel arch liner and get to the part which is hidden behind here. And what we're going to do, then I'm going to show you the part. You'll see there's all 8mm bolts holding that on everywhere, all located everywhere, which you're gonna have to remove. So just take this panel out, and then you've got your 10mm hidden right there and there, and then the whole panel should just come out and we'll gain access to the part. Right guys, so after removing the wheel arch liner, we then find this right up here, which is the vapor canister for the gas tank. Now this is responsible for letting the fuel tank breathe and also catching all the harmful vapors inside it. It's got a filter inside, which I'll show you when I remove it. But after inspection, I've just found some person has disconnected this hose up here, as you'll see, from the tube right here, which means this has had a problem for many years. And what someone's decided to do is take that hose right off. As you see, they've cable tied it to stop it causing any issues. And this is why we're getting the fuel pressure adaptation light and why the car is feeling low on power. Now, as you see here, it's got two 10mm bolts. We're going to go ahead and remove them and the whole thing should drop. But this is absolutely gone, and the person cheaped out, left it, and I can't even believe I'm seeing this. They cable tied that hose there, which should be connected onto that connector right there, but they haven't. So I found the culprit, and my diagnosis was right from using ISTA. So we're going to go ahead and take that out. So we're just going to release the two 10mm bolts. Just remember what way it goes, so you know how to bottle it back up after and get it back into situ. Be careful with all these little pipes that you don't break them, because they're going to be brittle. Use lube to put them back on after, and just be very careful and don't smoke around there or light any fires, because it's fuel you're going to be playing with. So if you see here now guys, this is the charcoal canister, which I'll just put up here, and if you can see in there, there is a filter in there, which this filter looks very badly clogged. This is where the other hose should have been on, but this, you can see it's all black in there, and if you can see that, it's badly black in there, which means this hasn't been doing its job. This has basically given up, and therefore this is why I've been having the fuel pressure adaptation light. I am going to be changing this over. We do have a new one. This was not cheap. This is £180. Now, I think someone's removed the hose, just so they didn't have to replace it. But this is a serviceable part, guys, and if you are having issues, make sure to change this out, because this has been causing me a lot of issues on the E60 M5. And I didn't even know some fool had removed this hose right here, the connector, because you see I've just cut it, the cable tie on it. But you also notice there's a hose here that comes off and it just pops off, and then it's got a blank on it, so therefore I don't think it's meant to go anywhere. But you know, it's really ridiculous why someone took that off. So replacing this part was £180 though, so I can see why someone didn't want to do that. But it's going to be changed now. We're going to put a new one on. It's just a straight fit back into the way you took it off. So these two ends will go the other way and the single end goes up that way. You would have seen, we'll rewind the video if you want to know how it goes. But make sure to check this, guys, on your E60, because now seeing that, a garage or any cowboy could have easily just disconnected that just to stop having to replace this. BMW won't tell you, but this is a serviceable item, must be serviced and changed every 80,000 miles. This is long overdue. That's why I've ordered it. That's why we're changing it. So as you see here, guys, the wheel arch is now all back on and complete. We've got that all fully finished. So now what we're going to do is put all the wheel back on, which many of you guys know how to do. I'm not going to sit here and show you. We don't want to long off this video any longer than needed. We replaced the vapor canister. I do believe that should be changed every 80,000 miles, and BMW will tell you it's not a serviceable item. It's a serviceable item. Change it, trust me, or even check it, because someone could have done the exact same thing as what you've seen here, and that will be causing a lot of your problems, trust me. So therefore we have replaced that, put the wheel back on, and then we'll start up the car. Okay guys, so we're going to go ahead and now start the car for the first time since changing over the canister. So let's give it a go. And let's see if it's running better now. Now I plugged the hose back in correctly and everything should be functioning correctly. Maybe someone disconnected that hose on the car to try and, I don't know, get away without replacing the charcoal canister like many do, because it's an expensive part and people just want to drive these cars on the cheap without actually repairing them properly. So doing things like that is the cowboy way of getting out of it without actually replacing parts that actually needed, which in turn, especially on the E60 M5, can actually destroy the fuel tank. So it ain't a good thing. Maybe they were getting codes from other things and then they removed that because they thought it was that. You know, these cars go very misdiagnosed and people start pulling things out everywhere they can to try and eliminate the code because they can't figure out what the actual issue is. And this is why you're going to find things disconnected on this car all the time. So I'm going around finding still bits that people have done that they haven't corrected or done the job properly, and I'm having to replace everything they fucked up. So it's just the way it is. I'm having to replace people's jobs constantly, all the time on this car. And every car I get, I'm always finding things that people have cowboyed around and I'm having to repair properly and professionally again. Okay guys, so as you've seen there, I've just shown you how to replace the vapor canister or charcoal canister on your BMW E60. This applies to the E90s, E63s also, as well as your E65s and E66s. They will all have this vapor canister. Now, if you're getting fuel pressure codes, misfire codes that you cannot figure out what is going on, check that vapor canister. As you would have seen just there on my one, someone unplugged the hose and cable tied it. That is the hose, the main line going back to the fuel tank so the fuel tank can breathe. Someone had took that off for no apparent reason, and obviously the fuel pressure is reading that hose isn't plugged on, so it's not keeping the pressure tight inside the tank for the fuel mixture at the high RPM on the M5. Therefore it's losing pressure and it can detect it. It ended up being that what I run the diagnosis on Canister and I found it to be, and this is what I mean about these specific cars. If they're not diagnosed right, you will run your head around rings. Garages will not know what to do. This is how these cars get given a bad name, because people do not know how to locate these certain parts and fix these certain parts on these cars. And this is exactly why they get a bad name. And then people say they're crap cars because they are imbeciles and don't know how to diagnose them. If you know how to diagnose them correctly, people would find the issue and fix it, just like I did on my M5. If come up after many months of me owning this car. It was there when I first got the car, never thought nothing of it, cleared it, reset the adaptions, and then it come back, and then I went and diagnosed it properly and found this issue. Now, as I said, if you're having this issue, diagnose your car properly, take it to your independent and make sure they diagnose it properly, because it can be many things. You need someone who's good, very good at diagnosis on BMW. You don't want an indie who specializes in everything, your Chevy, your Dodge, your Volvo, your Mercedes. You need an independent specialist that specializes in BMW. This is why the M5 is a very, very complicated car in the wrong hands, and this is why I own one. And many people don't own it because it's a very, very complicated machine. Everything is very technical and electronical, and it was way ahead of its time, and therefore people still don't understand it 15 years on, still to this day and age, because of how many electronics on the car. I managed to diagnose the fault. I'm very happy. My idle was slightly dipping up and down like that when it was sitting idle, but that is now fully gone. That was because obviously it had an air leak, and it was coming from that vapor canister, which now we've rectified. So thank you very much for watching this video, guys, and if you do have this issue, I will try and find the product and link it in the description below. It is very, very expensive. It took 5 days to get over here. I ordered it from Germany. I have fitted it now, and my problem has now disappeared. So thank you very much for watching, guys. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.